truth is that you can't blame Madam Tinubu. She doesn't understand the meaning of small businesses or small scale businesses. As far as she's concerned, small scale businesses are businesses that are in front of your door. That's not small scale business. In fact, technology has advanced so much now that if Nigeria had electricity right, had its infrastructure in place, a lot of people could be working with companies abroad without you knowing them, and they'll be living better. But MTN is going to kill you. Airtel, there was a girl who was crying the other day that she was working abroad, but one of the projects she was doing got taken away because data was a problem. So they're not thinking futuristically. They are cocooned to feel that the people who are frying akara and kuli kuli those are not small business people. Those are people who are trying to survive. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with baking beans. In fact, it is possible these days for you to bake beans without anybody knowing that you are doing it in front of you. Technology can make you bake beans, deliver it to people across, and you can become a millionaire. But like I said, she's speaking to her base. They are campaigning, and they are campaigning to the poor to keep having the hope that one day they will make it. It's just like going to a church. One church I watched one day, one guy was saying, by next year, everybody in this church will have a Rolls Royce, and everybody said, "Amen." And over 2,000 people there. And if I was in the church, I would have raised up my hand and, "Pastor, how many Rolls Royces do they make a year? Why are you praying for us to have 2,000 Rolls Royces in this church, knowing that only 109 of them is made worldwide?" Exaggerating. But I'm just using that as a metaphor to describe how they raise the hope of the poor so that they will go and vote for them again. Regarding Daniel Bwala is as confused as anybody. He's a very good friend of mine, but this is his own desperate moment to shine. If you are saying that somebody who is earning 60,000 naira in Nigeria is better than somebody who is earning, that means you don't understand what they call quality of life. And without understanding quality of life, then you can't understand what wages and income has the role they have to play. Let's do this. Let's place Daniel Bwala on minimum wage, 77,000 naira per month. And if you ever hear from him again,
let's move from
before the end of this regime.
Let's move. I'm sure Daniel would not want that. We need to get your opinion, Comrade Sowore, on this regime controversy involving the president's chief of staff, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, involving a certain Prince Adeni Adeyemi, who claimed he gave 400 million naira to get the job as Director General of the Presidential Foreign Intervention or Investment Protection Promotion Council, remaining an outstanding 200 million to pay, even though he has been denied by the presidency and all of those. The middleman he gave the 400 million to pass on to Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila died under mysterious circumstances in a hotel in Utako. We later on got to know, even yesterday, by this same man, that the hotel was hurriedly pulled down.
Wow.
And all of those.
I have been in prison.
And the parents have been arrested. Anyway, so how did you receive all of this? And what's your feedback?
Nothing was a surprise to me. The reason that was that when I was actively publishing on Sowore Reporters as an investigative reporter, I came upon the first story of Femi Gbajabiamila having stolen his client's money, $25,000.
The same Femi Gbajabiamila?
Yes.
This same Femi
Gbajabiamila.
Are you sure it's the same person?
Yes. So in Atlanta,
he stole 25,000
from one of his clients, and that was what led him to run away from the U.S. Came back to Nigeria, and
what year was this?
This must have been in the 2000s. I can't remember the exact year. So when I did the story, I never knew who he was, and then someone called me, Abike Dabiri.
The same honorable.
Yes, he said Sowore, because I knew him when we were in the student union. He used to work at NTA.
That's you knew her? Abike?
Yes, okay. I'm sorry, I knew her, and I said, I haven't heard from you in a while. And he said, what did my brother do to you? I said, who's your brother? He said, Waja now. He said there's a story that you wrote about him on Sowore Reporters. Is there any way we can do to help him? Oh, wow. I said, so you know a thief? She laughed, and that was the last I heard of the story. So I wasn't surprised. In fact, if you read the excerpts of the investigation that was done, Gbaja actually, in an attempt to cover up, got money from Lagos and tried to pay back the money so as to cover up the crime.
Atlanta?
In Atlanta, Georgia. So
it was disbarred by the Georgia State.
As a result of that.
Wow.
Yes, this is public record.
Wow.
You can look for it and read it. So, not surprised. And this is how Nigeria got to where it is by recruiting criminals to lead the country in
Let me
various
ask you, Sowore,
sectors.
sorry to
Yes,
interrupt you. You mean this story is public?
it is public. Yeah.
So how did Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila become elected as House of Reps member, became not just House of Reps member, majority leader, and then he became speaker?
Ask yourself, how did Tinubu become president? How did he become senator, governor, and president? Without a real age, a real certificate that we know of, and with the baggage of drug trafficking. How did Akwa Abiodun become governor? With the baggage of a drug conviction in the U.S. as
You
well.
mean the governor of Ogun State?
Ogun State.
Has a drug conviction
Of
in the
course,
United
in the
States?
U.S. So a lot of these guys who are now within our political leadership system are ex-convicts, former criminals, con men, 419ers, drug dealers, money launderers. That's where Nigeria is today. If you look at a majority of their backgrounds, you dig and find out that they've been involved in one criminal activity or the other. That's why they get upset when people like us call them criminal, because they know that we have the force of facts and evidence behind it, including a moral declaration that they cannot get over. So, are you then surprised that Baja took 400 million naira from somebody and he still left?
Is an allegation not proven yet?
Well, my lawyer, Femi Falana, is the one helping the prince to prove his case. In the back end, we have already seen all the evidence. Yes, of how the transaction, you have mentioned some of it, how the person who transferred the money was killed and the house where the transaction, the hotel where it took place has been pulled down because there are other criminal networks involved that are interested in covering this up. Don't forget that there are several other persons who have made allegations against Gbaja about how he extorts money from them. I know of a case that I can tell you here that when the guy was appointed to head NEFund, he said the pressure was so much.
NEFund, the student loans organization.
Yes. He said, Gbaja was very clear. There's been another story of a guy, Obaze, who was investigating Buhari's former private secretary, that one that used to sell recharge card, who became a billionaire, Tunde Sabiu. They call him Tunde Idiagbon, who was born around the time Idiagbon was deputy to Buhari. And Obaze was investigating him. He had already agreed to part with some money, properties, and at the point, they said, but I sent a message to him. A message to him that he should not talk to Obaze anymore. He should talk to him directly, and they can settle this. That was how Tunde Diagbon never appeared in the radar of the corrupt guy.
Of the investigative
Even that
agencies.
happened. Baja was the one who killed that investigation, took his own share of the money.
This is just allegation, Sowore.
When you're talking to Sowore, you can remove allegation from, because I exist. You can come and sue me if you think I lied against you. That's why you see, I get upset, absolutely upset when I see the justice system, the security system weaponized against all these small boys who send people to prison when the real criminals, are there. There's a boy we just went and freed yesterday. He said he cloned the voice of the president. He's been in jail for 2 months. We got him freed yesterday. There's a guy they call DJ Chicken in Lagos. So he said he wants to kill Sheikh Tinubu. How is that? You see, even if somebody threatens to kill somebody, and the police gets there and discover he doesn't have the capacity, you don't even arrest the person. But these guys are just social media content creators. And trust me, if these content creators don't exist, we will have no economy that keeps them busy. Imagine if all these guys are also engaging in terrorism, because there's now an entire economics model that is helping Nigeria that Nigeria hasn't really paid attention to.
But they shouldn't break the law anyway, even
There's no law broken.
But Sowore, let's focus on this. And I want to